And thanks also to the vertical events team, to Stuart and his team, for giving such support to the junior sector in particular over what have been some very tough years recently. So it's great to see so many people coming back to the sector and interested in all the stories we have. First thing that everybody wants to know is, why should I buy the stock that I'm hearing about? Well, this is why, for us. We're a gold explorer, and when we're finding native gold, visible gold, fresh, free gold in fresh rock at 200 odd meters vertical, extending below the existing operations that were there beforehand, it's not little stuff that's coming out of near surface nuggets or anything. This is real rock, real gold in the rock, and it means that there's a primary deposit there. And that's what's significant for us, we believe. Some of the normal issues that everybody looks at: if you want to buy into a company, you want to be able to get out of it as well. So even though the share price might be relatively inexpensive and good bargain, good leverage, you want to know that you have the ability to actually jump out of a stock as well as jump into it. Just with where we're at, we have 600 odd million shares on issue. There are quoted options which are trading at somewhere around about a cent as well. Those represent $5 million of capital to us for the end of next year. By September 2019, if the share price is above 5 cents and they're in the money, that delivers another $5 million into the kitty for us to be able to use to continue to explore what we have. We had $5 million in the bank at the end of December. We've got about 4.5 at the moment, just over 4 at the moment, something like that. Shareholders, Ragged Range is our chairman, Phil Crabb, who founded the company back in about 2002 and consistently puts money in, took up his full entitlement, as did the board and directors and management at the rights issue late September last year, which raised another $5 million. And the Chin brothers are 3 wealthy individuals, Singaporean Chinese, who are long-term supporters of Phil's, been in many of the companies in which he has an interest. So we have top 20 hold about 45% of the company. It means 55% free float out there, something like 3,000 shareholders in total. Board and management hold something in the region of 14%. So we have money in the game, and it's not freebies that are being handed out. This is all like the rest of you, like any investor. It's our hard-earned cash that is in the company, which is why we are convinced that what we have is worth pursuing. Just looking at some of the, as I said before, the ability to get into a stock and out of a stock, so liquidity is very important. And late last year, as the share price came off in the difficult times as well, we did a rights issue down here, which dropped the price because of the rights issue. The market cap fell off quickly. The blue line is the market cap. So as you can see, the market cap at the moment is about the same as it was before the rights issue. We had no cash there. We had 7 million cash here, and we've managed to find some phenomenal exploration hits since then, and there's no recognition for that in the way that the market cap and share price has behaved. So what do we want to look at in terms of the ability of a company to get in and out? Turnover before the rights issue was about 230,000 shares a day, about $9,000 worth. Now we're averaging over $4 million shares a day since the rights issue finished, and about 130,000 average. So there's liquidity there. You can buy into this stock and be able to get back out again. And that is really quite important in what is becoming more and more of a trading environment in the retail market. The long-term potential still exists, and a number of the stories we've heard so far at the conference have had some phenomenal results, and there's more still to come. This is a very, very good time to be in the junior space in Australia, and it's good to see a resurgence. Board and management, over 250 years of combined. I'm surprised we're not all dead, actually, to be honest, going on like that. But we're getting there. We're certainly building up, and we've got a lot of experience, and we've taken mines from discovery through to production. Phil Crabb, our chairman, as I say, you look at things like Yilgarn Star, the Plutonic gold mine. You can read those yourselves, but we believe that Garden Gully on the gold front is possibly the one that's looking like it's next in line. What makes it so interesting? Well, as I say, gold focus. But you're getting these sort of results. These are all our own drilling. The 7 meters at 24.5 at Lydia deposit, that's only 11 meters from surface. So that is supergene. That's nuggety material, nugget effect near surface. And it's still valuable because if you're developing any mine, you want to know that there's higher grade material near surface, because that will add to your cash flow in the early days when you're exploiting what is otherwise often a depleted zone. But then we started finding things deeper as we got to things like 80 meters at 1.9. This has been mentioned before, but that is from about 80 meters below surface. So we're seeing a zone that was not true width. The true width appeared to be about 30 metres, and as we've done more work, we're seeing that we're getting zones of round about 30 in high grade, medium grade, low grade, plunging chutes, but reasonable intercepts with some higher grade intervals as well. We picked up the Crown Prince, which is the source of historical production at Garden Gully, about 20-odd thousand ounces historical at about 21 grams average. And that Crown Prince mine, we only got hold of and first able to do any work in about October last year. So we've had one drilling program there to date. So when you start getting these sort of intercepts, 66 2-ounce dirt at about 250 meters, that's fantastic. Some people say it's too deep, but what we're showing is that 130 meters below the existing workings, we're still seeing that same mineralization that attracted the old-timers when they were digging the near-surface material and got the 22-gram stuff, and that we're still seeing that sort of grade perpetuated at that depth. So the main lode is continuing significantly below where the historical work has been done. Why Thunderlara and why now? As I say, aggressively exploring these new tenements with a clear gold focus. Since we started work at Garden Gully back in July 2016, we've put in something like 26,000 meters, 26 kilometers of drilling. About 24,000 RC and 2.5 of diamond have been drilled to date. Next drilling program is due to commence in March, and that is designed now to see if we can pull together enough information to put a resource, a maiden resource, against both Lydia, which is a brand new discovery, and also at Crown Prince, which we want to do. Worth mentioning as well with Thunderlara and why now, Red Boar has been a particular focus of our presentations in the past because we've been very involved in Red Boar right next to DeGrussa, Sandfire's copper gold play. But at the moment, our joint venture partner, Bill Richmond, is actually putting money in the ground there, and he's spending $1.5 million on exploration between now and January next year, and we don't have to spend a cent on that. So that's a total freebie, whereas in the past, our exploration work at Red Boar was our cash flow and our expenditure. It doesn't have to be, and it's a totally new look using a very qualified and experienced geological team to do new work and reinvestigate the potential that is right next to Sandfire there. So no cost, a total freebie for any Thunderlara shareholders, because if anything is discovered there, and he gains no further interest unless he manages to define 30,000 tons of copper, then that's a free run for any shareholder in Thunderlara, because any discovery, the only way you can get exposure is through Thunderlara shares. So, Meekatharra, Garden Gully. That just shows you where it is, and the main things to see here is Westgold's Bluebird plant, 3.1 million tonnes per annum, about 30k down the Great Northern Highway with spare capacity. And Andy Well, which is on care and maintenance now, it's about 300,000 tonnes per annum, usually designed for higher grade feed, but as you can see from the results we put out at both Lydia and at Crown Prince, we have both high and low grade, or the potential for both high and low grade feed. A lot of people talking about new discoveries with some fantastic results. The issue becomes one of monetization. So you need proximity to existing plants so that you can arrange a toll treatment operation if that's what makes sense, rather than having to build up a sufficient quantum of a resource to make a development decision on a standalone new mine. This is quite busy, and I've had to cut an awful lot out of this, but it just represents the quantum and the number of decent hits we've had from what has been essentially a new exploration program at Garden Gully. There are a number of different prospects, Transylvania, Battery, Granite Well, but Crown Prince and Lydia are probably the two main focuses for us at the moment. As I say, you've had the visible gold that we hit at Lydia in the supergene zone, and now we're seeing visible gold in Crown Prince at depth below the existing operations. So all the details of the intercepts that have been discovered to date are all listed in the announcement list on page at the end of the presentation. This again is just a list, and it's no other way I can put it but trying to color code it for some of the results that we've got from some of these drilling results and drilling hits to date. To be able to put a full page and to have to cull an awful lot of it again shows the quantum of hits and results that we're getting to date. It's very, very exciting for us. And what we're now looking at is mineralized zones at Lydia. This isn't even including Crown Prince. This is just the other areas which are all brand new discoveries within the Garden Gully zone for us. This is what's got us really excited, I think. And as I say, nuggety gold, you're getting free gold. This one's in particular interest. There's a lump of gold, and right next to it is a lump of arsenopyrite. So what we're seeing is gold and sulfide, because the question often comes, if you've got arsenopyrite, then you've got refractory ore, which means it's going to be too expensive. That's not refractory, that's free milling. It's sitting there next to it. The photomicrographs that we've got will show you that there's gold within the arsenopyrite as well, which is great. It means you've got two phases of mineralization. So mineralogically, it's complex. We know there's several different phases of mineralization, but that's positive because unless you've got a complex system, it's very rare that you're going to get any substance or any deposit of size if there isn't some structural complexity involved with it as well. As I say, these were 6 different hits of a free gold that we got from the zone that was going 2.4 meters at 66 grams. So it's from around about 259.2, 2.3 meters down the hole. But we were fascinated. We're really, really pleased to see this. As I say, the scale bar on there is about 1 millimeter on each case there. A couple of cross sections. This is the old historical outlines of the lodes that have been defined in the past at Crown Prince, the main Crown Prince main lode and northern lode. The historical work that's been done, what we're really seeing, and that's most significant, is that you're getting these sort of intercepts, but they're 245 meters vertical, but it's showing that the main lode is extending 130 meters below the existing operations. That means this thing grows and that it's continuing at depth, and that what we're beginning to understand is that there is something of substance here that will turn into something bigger with further work down the track. We'll look at what we've got in cross sections at the moment, and I think of main significance for us in the bigger picture is this dotted outline, which is where we're seeing geologically it's a metasomatic alteration. You're getting boron and potassic alteration in there. You're seeing a potential for a much, much larger mineralized system at depth that is contributing to this what is effectively nearer surface mineralization that is presenting itself as the mineralization we're finding at Crown Prince and at Lydia as well at the moment at depth. So this is getting quite exciting for us. We're seeing that the northern lode is extending at depth. I'm not going to try and read out any of those intersections. We've got copies of this is online, and there's also copies, hard copies, at the booth that you can look at. Main lode, as we say, extending. I'm going on about this, I know, but it's really, really important. It's showing that the thing is growing. There is also a JORC compliant or 2004 compliant resource that we can't use because we don't have the QA/QC, but it's all in the public domain. And again, these are the WOMEX reports that you can go online and look at to get a feel for exactly what's been there in the past and show some of the drilling intersections that have happened in the past as well. It's that forms the basis of what we want to do with the next stage of follow-up, and that will form the basis of trying to identify an initial resource that we can then follow up on. Lydia as well. We've got 2 main zones, the northwest and the southeast at Lydia, that we believe will form the basis for resource calcs in the next stage of drilling. And we've got a significant amount of follow-up work to do there. And as I say, you know from the money that we've got in the bank to be able to follow up and do this. So what we're seeing is that these mineralized shoots, there's a series of high-grade shoots that are within this structural system, the structural zone of shearing. And that is what we're seeing in the separate pods. How big they are yet, we don't know exactly. The next stage is the one, as I say, the next stage of drilling from March will allow us to identify what the resource may be that we can announce as a maiden resource. Just quickly, as I mentioned Red Boar and pointed out that we're very, very close. In the past, we've stopped doing the work, but this is right next to DeGrussa. Conductor 5 is less than 200 meters from our tenement boundary. The work that Bill Richmond is now putting on there, as I say, $1.5 million worth of exploration buys you some pretty deep holes. And that's free for us. No cost to us at all, total exposure. So if you're in Fundalara at all, even though we're not doing the work there, you've still got exposure there. And there's, by all accounts, there's enough money there to be going along with. And we don't lose anything of that until he's found 30,000 tons of copper. And I'd rather have, as I've said before, 15% free carried of 30,000 tons of copper than 90% of what is effectively nothing at the moment, particularly when you don't have to spend any money to get there and somebody else does. This is just the setting of Carrara Well, which is the area to the north of Red Boar. Doesn't add any value to what we're talking about here. East Kimberley, again, about 3 hits with what we've got. Keller Creek is a nickel play. We're hearing a lot about how nickel's improving. Panoramica, the operator there. Keller Creek hosts the extensions to the Savannah North deposit, and they're looking at opening up Savannah again at the moment as the price continues to improve. So again, they'll have to grow that as time over the next couple of years, and that's all going to be free value for any Fundalara shareholders, still not recognised in the Fundalara share price. And then zinc, also another vogue commodity at the moment. Sophie Downs, we've had some interesting hits in the past. We need to follow that up on that. Lamba is the final deposit or final project we have over in the Northern Territory, which has copper, graphite, uranium. Again, you can read for yourself on the announcement what what's happening there. So basically, in summary, why? What are we looking at? Garden Gully is the next focus for us. You've got all the right locations. You've got near surface material that we think we can get, got resources to be outlined very shortly, and the possibility to be able to monetize quickly through some sort of arrangement with one of the two plants that are nearby. So if we can do that, then we can start self-funding further exploration to establish the potential that exists unquestionably at depth at this deposit as well. And then you've got the free options, effectively, on exploration that's being carried out at Red Boar and Keller Creek by other parties. We own our interest and our destiny 100%, and the bits that we don't own 100% are freebies for us. They don't have any drain on any of our capital, either intellectual or financial. Normal disclaimers and everything else for the competent person statements, you can read those at your leisure. I'm sure you'll be spending a lot of time this evening going over those before you go to sleep. Thank you all very, very much indeed for spending the time to listen to the story. Thank you.